Hello viewers. Welcome to Seek Wisdom. First of all, we would like to thank you for playing out this video. Today in this video, we present you the summary of the book, Secrets of the Millionaire Mind, written by Harv Eker. This book reveals the missing link between wanting success and achieving it. Part 1 explains how your money blueprint works. In Part 2 you will be introduced to 17 wealth files, which describe exactly how rich people think and act differently than most poor and middle-class people. We hope you like it. Let's get started. Have you ever wondered why some people seem to get rich easily, while others are destined for a life of financial struggle? The reason behind this difference is the way of thinking. Rich people think a certain way, and poor people think a completely different way, and those ways of thinking determine their actions and therefore determine their results. So, for this, all you have to do is copy how rich people think. Your income can grow only to the extent you do. It is the mindset due to which if you come into big money when you're not ready for it on the inside, the chances are your wealth will be short-lived and you will lose it. On the other hand, the opposite occurs for self-made millionaires. Notice that when self-made millionaires lose their money, they usually have it back within a relatively short time. Research shows that 80% of individuals will never be financially free because they are unconscious. Take life as a tree with fruits as our results. We look at the fruits and we don't like them, they are too small, or they don't taste good. But actually, it's what's under the ground that creates what's above the ground. It's what's invisible that creates what's visible. So what does that mean? It means that if you want to change the fruits, you will first have to change the roots. We have to work on our inner world. When we align with the laws of nature and work on our inner world, our life flows smoothly. We live in at least 4 different realms at once. These 4 quadrants are the physical world, the mental world, the emotional world, and the spiritual world. Physical realm is merely a printout of the other 3. Money, wealth, health, illness, all these are results. A lack of money is never, ever a problem. It is merely a symptom of what is going on underneath. So, it is very essential to work on inner world. In between the video, you will get set of 2 declarations. These declarations send a powerful message to your subconscious mind. Here comes the first declarations. Place your hand on your heart and repeat the following: My inner world creates my outer world. Now touch your head and say, I have a millionaire mind. Now here we introduce to a concept called money blueprint. Your money blueprint is simply your preset program or way of being in relation to money. How is your money blueprint formed? Your financial blueprint consists primarily of the information or of programming you received in the past, and especially as a young child. The sources of this programming includes parents, siblings, friends, authority figures, teachers, religious leaders, media, and your culture, to name a few. And how are we conditioned? We are conditioned in 3 primary ways in every arena of life, including money, verbal programming. What did you hear when you were young? Modeling. What did you see when you were young? Specific incidents. What did you experience when you were young? Let's have a look at these in detail. Verbal programming is like we hear phrases like money is the root of all evil, save your money for a rainy day, rich people are greedy. All the statements you heard about money when you were young remain in your subconscious mind as part of the blueprint that is running your financial life. There are 4 key elements of change. The first element of change is awareness. You can't change something unless you know it exists. Write down all the statements you heard about money, wealth, and rich people when you were young. The second element of change is understanding. By understanding where your way of thinking originates, you can recognize that it has to come from outside you. Write down how you believe these statements have affected your financial life so far. The third element of change is disassociation. Once you realize this way of thinking isn't you, you can separate yourself from it and choose in the present whether to keep it or let it go, based on who you are today and where you want to be tomorrow. The fourth element of change is reconditioning. Here comes another declaration for this. Place your hand over your heart and say, "What I heard about money isn't necessarily true. I choose to adopt new ways of thinking that support my happiness and success." The second influence, modeling. This is what we learn from our parents, guardians, as how they were in the arena of money when you were growing. You can have all the knowledge and skills in the world, but if your blueprint isn't set for success, you are financially doomed. For example, some people hoard money and save for a rainy day. It might sound like a good idea, but it can create big problems. If you are saving your money for a rainy day, then as per power of intention, you are going to get rainy days. Stop doing that. Instead of saving for a rainy day, focus on saving for a joyous day or for the day you win your financial freedom. The reason or motivation you have for making money or creating success is vital. If your motivation for acquiring money or success comes from a non-supportive root such as fear, anger, or the need to prove yourself, your money will never bring you happiness. Because you can't solve any of these issues with money. By unlinking your money motivation from anger, fear, and the need to prove yourself, you can install new links for earning your money through purpose, contribution, and joy. Here are steps to change for modeling. Awareness. Consider the ways of being and habits each of your parents had around money and wealth. Write down how you may be identical or opposite to either of them. Understanding. Write down the effect this modeling has had on your financial life. Disassociation. Can you see this way of being is only what you learned and isn't you? Can you see you have a choice in the present moment to be different? Declaration for this reconditioning is, place your hand over your heart and say, "What I modeled around money was their way. I choose my way." Touch your head and say, "I have a millionaire mind." The third influence is the specific incidents. These are the experiences you had when you were young around money, wealth, and rich people. Mismatch of money blueprint among partners is one of the major reasons of relationship breakups. Here are steps to change influence of specific incidents. Awareness. Consider a specific emotional incident you experienced around money when you were young. Understanding. Write down how this incident may have affected your current financial life. Disassociation. Can you see you have a choice in the present moment to be different? Coming to declaration. Place your hand on your heart and say, "I release my non-supportive money experiences from the past and create a new and rich future." Touch your head and say, "I have a millionaire mind." Your money blueprint is like a thermostat. The only way to change your level of financial success permanently is to reset your financial thermostat. Remember that the first element of all change is awareness. Watch yourself, become conscious, observe your thoughts, your fears, your beliefs, your habits, your actions, and even your inactions. By achieving consciousness, we can live from who we are today rather than who we were yesterday. Each thought you have will either be an investment or a cost. So, don't believe a thought you think. Here comes another declaration. Place your hand on your heart and say, "I observe my thoughts and entertain only those that empower me." Touch your head and say, "I have a millionaire mind." Here starts the second part of the book. 17 ways rich people think and act differently from poor and middle-class people. First wealth file is rich people believe I create my life. Poor people believe life happens to me. If you want to create wealth, it is imperative that you believe that you are at the steering wheel of your life, especially your financial life. Instead of taking responsibility for what's going on in their lives, poor people choose to play the role of the victim. Here are 3 clues that show the victim attitude. First is blame. When it comes to why they're not rich, most victims are professionals at the blame game. Second clue is justifying. You'll often find them justifying or rationalizing their situation by saying something like money's not really important. Third clue is complaining. What you focus on expands. When you are complaining, you are focusing on what's wrong with it, and since what you focus on expands, you'll keep getting more of what's wrong. You have to make darn sure not to put yourself in the proximity of complainers. Every time you blame, justify, or complain, you are slitting your financial throat. Here comes declaration for this wealth file. Place your hand on your heart and say, I create the exact level of my financial success. Touch your head and say, I have a millionaire mind. Coming to second wealth file. Rich people play the money game to win. Poor people play the money game to not lose. The goal of truly rich people is to have massive wealth and abundance, while primary concern of poor is survival and security instead of creating wealth and abundance. So, if your goal is to be comfortable, chances are you'll never get rich. But if your goal is to be rich, chances are you'll end up mighty comfortable. Here comes declaration for this wealth file. Place your hand on your heart and say, my goal is to become a millionaire and more. Touch your head and say, I have a millionaire mind. Here comes third wealth file. Rich people are committed to being rich. Poor people want to be rich. For many people, they have mixed internal messages about wealth. These mixed messages may seem innocent enough, but in reality, they are one of the major reasons most people never become rich. Based on the law of attraction, the universe will do its best to say yes and support you. But if you have mixed messages, the universe can't understand what you want. The number one reason most people don't get what they want is that they don't know what they want. Rich people are totally clear that they want wealth. They are unwavering in their desire. They are fully committed to creating wealth. Committing means holding absolutely nothing back, giving 100% of everything you've got to achieving wealth. If you are not fully, totally, and truly committed to creating wealth, chances are you won't. Here comes declaration for third wealth file. Place your hand on your heart and say, I commit to being rich. Touch your head and say, I have a millionaire mind. Coming to wealth file 4, rich people think big. Poor people think small. It's important to know that 4 factors determine your value in the marketplace: supply, demand, quality, and quantity. The factor that presents the biggest challenge for most people is the quantity. Most people choose to play small. Why? First, because of fear of failure. Second, people play small because they feel small. They don't feel they're good enough or important enough to make a real difference in people's lives. Research shows that the happiest people are those who use their natural talents to the utmost. It's time to stop hiding out and start stepping out. It's time to start sharing your gifts instead of hoarding them or pretending they don't exist. Big thinking and big actions lead to having both money and meaning. Here comes the declaration for this wealth file. Place your hand on your heart and say, I think big. I choose to help thousands and thousands of people. Touch your head and say, I have a millionaire mind. Now comes 5th wealth file. Rich people focus on opportunities. Poor people focus on obstacles. Poor people make choices based upon fear. Their minds are constantly scanning for what is wrong or could go wrong in any situation. Middle-class people are slightly more optimistic. Their mindset is, I sure hope this works. Rich people take responsibility for the results in their lives and act upon the mindset, it will work because I'll make it work. To succeed financially, you have to do something or start something. And when you do, whether you call it luck or universe or a higher power, it supports you in its miraculous ways for having the courage and commitment to go for it. Again, the universal law states, what you focus on expands. Because rich people focus on the opportunities in everything, opportunities abound for them. On the other hand, because poor people focus on the obstacles in everything, obstacles abound for them, and their biggest problem is handling all the incredible obstacles they see. Here comes the declaration for this wealth file. Place your hand on your heart and say, I focus on opportunities over obstacles. I get ready, I fire, I aim. Touch your head and say, I have a millionaire mind. Here comes 6th wealth file. Rich people admire other rich and successful people. Poor people resent rich and successful people. You have to realize that if you view rich people as bad in any way, shape, or form, then you can never be rich. It's impossible. You cannot be something that you despise. Instead of resenting rich people, practice admiring, blessing, loving rich people. That way, unconsciously you know that when you become rich, other people will admire you, bless you, and love you instead of resent the heck out of you the way you might do them now. As per Huna philosophy, bless that which you want. Here comes declaration. Place your hand on your heart and say, I admire rich people. I bless rich people. I love rich people. And I'm going to be one of those rich people too. Touch your head and say, I have a millionaire mind. Time for 7th wealth file. Rich people associate with positive, successful people. Poor people associate with negative or unsuccessful people. The fastest and easiest way to create wealth is to simply model the inner and outer strategies of the rich people. For this, first, don't bother trying to get negative people to change or come to the course. That's not your job. Your job is to use what you've learned to better yourself and your life. Second, keep in mind that if you can remain true to your values while others around you are full of doubt and even condemnation, you'll grow faster and stronger. For if you do begin to judge, criticize, and put them down for who they are and what they do, then you are no better than them. Declaration for this is, place your hand on your heart and say, I model rich and successful people. I associate with rich and successful people. If they can do it, I can do it. Touch your head and say, I have a millionaire mind. Here comes wealth file 8. Rich people are willing to promote themselves and their value. Poor people think negatively about selling and promotion. Resenting promotion is one of the greatest obstacles to success. People who have issues with selling and promotion are usually broke. People have a problem with promotion or sales for several reasons. First, you may have had a bad experience in the past with people promoting to you inappropriately. Second, you may have had a disempowering experience when you tried to sell something to someone and that person totally rejected you. Third, your issue might come from past parental programming. Finally, some people feel that promotion is beneath them. Keep in mind that people who have this belief are either broke or soon will be. Rich people are almost always excellent promoters. They can and are willing to promote their products, their services, and their ideas with passion and enthusiasm. Here is the declaration for this. Place your hand on your heart and say, I promote my value to others with passion and enthusiasm. Touch your head and say, I have a millionaire mind. Coming to the 9th wealth file. Rich people are bigger than their problems. Poor people are smaller than their problems. The road to wealth is fraught with traps and pitfalls, and that's precisely why most people don't take it. If you're breathing, you will always have so-called problems and obstacles in your life. Poor people will do almost anything to avoid problems. They see a challenge and they run. The secret to success is not to try to avoid or get rid of your problems, rather to grow yourself so that you are bigger than any problem. The bigger the problems you can handle, the bigger the business you can handle. The bigger the responsibility you can handle, the more customers you can handle, the more money you can handle, and ultimately, the more wealth you can handle. Here comes the declaration for this wealth file. Place your hand on your heart and say, I am bigger than any problems. I can handle any problems. Touch your head and say, I have a millionaire mind. Wealth file 10 says, rich people are excellent receivers. Poor people are poor receivers. People are challenged by receiving for several reasons. First, many people feel unworthy or undeserving. This low self-esteem comes from our conditioning. You and you alone determine if you're going to be worthy. It's simply your perspective. If you say you're worthy, you are. If you say you're not worthy, you're not. So, instead of worrying about changing your worthiness, change your perspective. It's a lot faster and cheaper. The second major reason is that they have bought into the adage it's better to give than to receive. The whole idea is ludicrous. For every giver there must be a receiver, and for every receiver there must be a giver. When you are not willing to fully receive, you are training the universe not to give to you. Rich people work hard and believe it's perfectly appropriate to be well rewarded for their efforts and the value they provide for others, while poor people, but due to their feelings of unworthiness, believe that it is inappropriate for them to be well rewarded for their efforts and the value they provide. So, begin to nurture yourself to become a good receiver. Second, practice going crazy with excitement and gratitude anytime you find or receive any money. Here is the declaration for this wealth file. Place your hand on your heart and say, I am an excellent receiver. I am open and willing to receive massive amounts of money into my life. Touch your head and say, I have a millionaire mind. Coming to wealth file 11, it says, rich people choose to get paid based on results. Poor people choose to get paid based on time. Poor people prefer to be paid a steady salary or hourly wage. They need the security of knowing that exactly the same amount of money is coming in at exactly the same time, month in, month out. The problem with this strategy is that your time is limited. If you choose to get paid for your time, you are pretty much killing your chances for wealth. On the other hand, rich people prefer to get paid based on the results they produce, if not totally, then at least partially. They make their income from their profits. Declaration for this wealth file is, place your hand on your heart and say, I choose to get paid based on my results. Touch your head and say, I have a millionaire mind. Wealth file 12 says rich people think both. Poor people think either or. Among successful career and family life, poor people always choose one. They believe money and happiness are mutually exclusive and either you can be rich or you can be happy. On the other hand, rich people choose both. Rich people understand that with a little creativity you can almost always figure out a way to have the best of both worlds. From now on, when confronted with an either-or alternative, the quintessential question to ask yourself is, how can I have both? This question will change your life. Here comes declaration for this wealth file. Place your hand on your heart and say, I always think both. Touch your head and say, I have a millionaire mind. Here comes wealth file 13, which says rich people focus on their net worth. Poor people focus on their working income. Working income is important, but it is only one of the 4 factors that determine your net worth. The 4 net worth factors are income, savings, investments, simplification. Net worth is the ultimate measure of wealth because, if necessary, what you own can eventually be liquidated into cash. Rich people understand that building a high net worth is an equation that contains all 4 elements. Poor and many middle-class people focus exclusively on working income, out of the 4 factors. Consequently, they end up with a low or no net worth. Therefore, if your intention is to be a millionaire or more, you must focus on building your net worth. Declaration for this wealth file is, place your hand on your heart and say, I focus on building my net worth. Touch your head and say, I have a millionaire mind. Coming to wealth file 14, it says, rich people manage their money well. Poor people mismanage their money well. The single biggest difference between financial success and financial failure is how well you manage your money. Universal law states that until you show you can handle what you've got, you won't get any more. So, you must acquire the habits and skills of managing a small amount of money before you can have a large amount. Money is a big part of your life, and when you learn how to get your finances under control, all areas of your life will soar. Here comes the declaration for this wealth file. Place your hand on your heart and say, I am an excellent money manager. Touch your head and say, I have a millionaire mind. Coming to wealth file 15, it says, rich people have their money work hard for them. Poor people work hard for their money. The idea that you have to work hard to get rich is bogus. Rich people can spend their days playing and relaxing because they work smart. Rich people think long-term. They understand and use leverage. They employ other people to work for them and their money to work for them. For rich people, working hard for money is a temporary situation. While for poor people, it's permanent. Rich people understand that you have to work hard until your money works hard enough to take your place. To win the money game, the goal is to earn enough passive income to pay for your desired lifestyle. Without passive income, you can never be free. The trick is to get educated. Learn about the investment world. Become familiar with a variety of different investment vehicles and financial instruments, such as real estate, mortgages, stocks, funds, bonds, currency exchange, the whole gamut. Then choose one primary area in which to become an expert. Begin investing in that area and then diversify into more later. Declaration for this wealth file is, place your hand on your heart and say, "My money works hard for me and makes me more and more money." Touch your head and say, "I have a millionaire mind." Here comes wealth file 16. Rich people act in spite of fear. Poor people let fear stop them. For anything to materialize, you have to take real action. Action is the bridge between the inner world and the outer world. But fear prevents us from taking the actions we know we need to take. Fear, doubt, and worry are among the greatest obstacles, not only to success, but to happiness as well. The biggest mistake most people make is waiting for the feeling of fear to subside or disappear before they are willing to act. These people usually wait forever. Rich and successful people have fear, doubts, and worries. They just don't let these feelings stop them. Practice acting in spite of fear, doubt, and worry. Training and managing your own mind is the most important skill you could ever own, in terms of both happiness and success. How do you train your mind? You start with observation. Notice how your mind consistently produces thoughts that are not supportive to your wealth and happiness. As you identify those thoughts, you can begin to consciously replace those non-empowering thoughts with empowering ones. Here comes the declaration for this wealth file. Place your hand on your heart and say, "I act in spite of fear. I act in spite of doubt. I act in spite of worry. I act in spite of inconvenience. I act in spite of discomfort. I act when I'm not in the mood." Touch your head and say, "I have a millionaire mind." Coming to the last wealth file, rich people constantly learn and grow. Poor people think they already know. Poor people are often trying to prove that they're right. They put on a mask as if they've got it all figured out. Keep in mind, you can be right or you can be rich, but you can't be both. Poor people claim they can't afford to get educated due to lack of time or money. The only way to have the money you want is to learn how to play the money game inside and out. You need to learn the skills and strategies to accelerate your income, to manage money, and to invest it effectively. To get paid the best, you must be the best. Rich people take advice from people who are richer than they are. Poor people take advice from their friends, who are just as broke as they are. Here comes the declaration for wealth file 17. Place your hand on your heart and say, "I am committed to constantly learning and growing." Touch your head and say, "I have a millionaire mind." Here finishes all the wealth files. We suggest you to listen to this video again and repeat the declarations, as repetition is the mother of learning. Also, the more you listen, the faster the concepts will become natural and automatic for you. Here we shall wind up the video. We hope you like this. We shall be back soon with another video. Till then, take care.